The council chamber floated peacefully in the void between stars. Its crystal walls caught the light from distant suns and threw rainbow patterns across the curved ceiling. Inside, 12 beings from 12 different worlds sat around a table that had never seen conflict. Zexai, whose body looked like living water in a glass container, spoke first. Her voice made soft bubbling sounds that the translation machines turned into words. "We have received another message from the humans. They say they are ready to meet us in person." The other council members shifted in their seats. Some had wings, some had tentacles, and others looked like walking trees. But they all shared one thing. They came from worlds where nothing wanted to kill them. "Their messages seem friendly," said Morton, whose crystalline body chimed like bells when he moved. "They speak of peace and cooperation. They want to share knowledge and culture." Vexara, who looked like a floating cloud of purple gas, drifted closer to the table. "I have studied their transmissions carefully. Their language patterns suggest honesty. They do not try to hide anything from us." The eldest member of the council was Naldor. His tree-like form had grown for 3,000 years on a world where the biggest danger was running out of good soil. His deep voice rumbled through the chamber. "In all our time as a council, we have only invited species from garden worlds like our own, worlds where life is easy and peaceful. But this is our chance to grow," said Zexai. "The humans come from what they call Earth. Their transmissions show it as a Class 12 world, much harsher than our homes. If we can welcome them, we can prove that our council truly represents all peaceful life in the galaxy." Fikro, whose jellyfish-like body pulsed with soft light, spoke slowly. "Their world is harder than ours, yes, but their messages show they have moved past violence. They speak of art, science, and exploration. They have grown beyond their harsh beginnings." The council had debated this for many cycles. The humans had been sending radio signals into space for over a century. First came simple signals, then complex mathematics, then language. The council had listened and learned. The humans seemed to have everything the council valued. They had science, art, music, and stories. They spoke of peace and cooperation. "I have reviewed all their cultural transmissions," said Ylfa, whose flower-like head turned toward each speaker. "Their entertainment shows beings working together to solve problems. Their music speaks of love and hope. Their science focuses on healing and discovery. They even show care for other species," added Quendal, whose fur changed colors as she spoke. "Their transmissions include many images of them caring for small creatures. They seem to have a natural kindness toward other life forms." Morton's crystal body rang like a soft bell. "We must remember why this council exists. We came together because we believe different species can work in harmony. The humans seem to share this belief." The council chamber fell quiet, except for the soft hum of the life support systems. Each member had their own thoughts, but they all felt the same excitement. This could be the beginning of something wonderful. Their latest message included a proposal, said Zexai. "They wish to send 2 representatives to meet us. They call them diplomats, people specially trained to speak for their entire species." "2 individuals to represent billions of beings?" asked Vexara. "That shows great trust in their chosen speakers." Naldor's ancient voice filled the chamber again. "They have chosen carefully. The first is named Jake Morrison. His background shows he has experience in leadership and crisis management. The second is Lisa Coleman. She studies different forms of life and how cultures interact." "Their choices seem wise," said Fikro. "A leader and a scientist, both trained in peaceful contact with others." The council members looked at each other across the table. They had all lived their entire lives on worlds where the biggest problems were bad, weather or crop failures. None of them had ever faced real danger. The idea of meeting beings from a harsher world both excited and worried them. "What do we know of their physical forms?" asked Ylfa. "The images they sent show they are similar to several species we know. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. Their biology seems standard for tool-using species," said Quendal. "They appear to be carbon-based like most of us. They breathe oxygen and drink water. Nothing unusual there." Zexai moved like water as she accessed the Council's data files. They mentioned that their world has stronger gravity than most of ours. This might make them somewhat stronger than us, but not dramatically so. Their messages suggest they are used to working in groups, said Vexara. This is good. It shows they understand cooperation. Morton chimed softly. I propose we vote. Should we invite these humans to visit our neutral station? Should we welcome them as the first Class 12 species to join our council? The members of the council had spent cycles preparing for this moment. They had studied human transmissions, learned their languages, and tried to understand their culture. Everything pointed to a species that had grown beyond their violent past and embraced peace. All in favor of extending an invitation to the human species? Asked Naldor. One by one, each council member voted yes. Zexai's watery form glowed with approval. Morton's crystal body rang out in harmony. Vexara's purple gas swirled with excitement. Each member showed their agreement in their own way. The vote is unanimous, announced Naldor. We will invite the humans to send their representatives to Harmony's rest station. We will prepare a proper welcome for them. Fikrau pulsed with gentle light. This is a historic moment. We are about to welcome the first Deathworld species to our council. We are growing beyond our safe boundaries. I will prepare the cultural briefings, said Yilfa. We must make sure we understand each other properly. And I will arrange the welcome ceremonies, added Quendel, her fur shifting to happy colors. We must show them the beauty of peaceful cooperation. The council members began to plan. They would prepare their finest foods, though they wondered if humans could eat the same things they did. They would arrange tours of their station, though. They hoped human physiology could handle their controlled environment. They would prepare gifts of art and music, hoping human senses could appreciate their beauty. As the meeting ended, each council member felt the same mixture of excitement and nervousness. They were about to meet beings from a world so harsh that the council had classified it as barely habitable. But the humans seemed to have overcome their world's challenges and become peaceful explorers. The council had no way to know that their peaceful invitation was about to change everything. They could not imagine that their new friends might be more dangerous than anything their safe worlds had ever produced. They thought they were welcoming fellow peace-seekers to their harmonious alliance. Soon, they would learn what it meant to invite apex predators to dinner. The message went out across space, carried by the fastest communication systems the Council possessed. It would take time to reach Earth, and more time for the humans to prepare and travel. But the Council was patient. They had waited this long to meet their new friends. They could wait a little longer. In their peaceful chamber floating between stars, surrounded by the safety their ancestors had built, the Council members began to prepare for the most important first contact in galactic history. They had no idea they were about to discover what fear felt like. The warning lights in the council chamber flashed 3 times. This was the signal they had all been waiting for. The humans had arrived at Harmony's rest station. Zexai rippled with excitement as she accessed the station's sensors. Her watery form suddenly went very still. Their ship is much larger than we expected. The other council members gathered around the viewing wall. What they saw made them all pause. The human vessel looked nothing like their own sleek, delicate ships. It was thick and heavy, with strange bumps and extra sections bolted to its hull. It looks like it was built to survive a war, whispered Morton, his crystal body dimming with worry. Jake Morrison and Lisa Coleman stepped through the airlock into the station's docking bay. The council members watched through cameras as their guests looked around. The humans moved carefully, their eyes checking every corner and exit. They seem very alert, observed Fikrau. Like they expect danger. The welcome ceremony took place in the main greeting hall. The council had spent days decorating it with flowers from 12 different worlds. Soft music played from hidden speakers. Everything was designed to show peace and beauty. Jake and Lisa entered the hall together. They wore simple blue uniforms with small badges. Both humans smiled and walked forward with confidence, but their eyes never stopped moving. They looked at everything like they were mapping escape routes. "Welcome to Harmony's rest station," said Naldor, his ancient voice warm with genuine pleasure. "We are honored to meet representatives of Earth." Jake stepped forward and spoke clearly. "Thank you for inviting us. I'm Commander Jake Morrison, and this is Dr. Lisa Coleman. We're excited to be here." Lisa smiled and added, "This is a beautiful station. The artificial gravity feels perfect, and the air quality is excellent. Your engineering is impressive." The council members felt proud. Their guests seemed pleased with their preparations. But then Jake continued speaking. "I noticed your docking clamps use a triple redundancy system. Very smart. And the backup power systems look solid. It's always good to see proper safety protocols." Vexara's purple gas swirled with confusion. "Safety protocols?" "Well, yes," Lisa said cheerfully. "Space is dangerous. Equipment fails. Accidents happen. It looks like you've planned for most emergency situations." The humans said this like it was the most normal thing in the world. The council members exchanged glances. Their station had backup systems because they were careful, not because they expected disasters. Yilfa gestured toward the long table filled with delicate foods from many worlds. "Please try our finest delicacies. Each dish represents the best our worlds have to offer." Jake and Lisa approached the table politely. They looked at the beautiful arrangements of fruits, crystals that dissolved in water, and glowing fungi that sparkled like gems. "This all looks wonderful," Lisa said carefully. "But we should probably stick to our own food for now. Our immune systems need time to adapt to new proteins. We wouldn't want to accidentally cause any problems." "Problems?" asked Quendel, her fur shifting to a worried yellow color. "Nothing serious," Jake assured them quickly. "Humans just have very active immune systems. If we eat something our bodies don't recognize, we might get sick. And if we get sick, we might accidentally expose you to our antibodies or defensive reactions." Lisa nodded. "Our bodies are designed to fight off diseases and toxins. Sometimes they fight a little too hard. We'd hate to make any of you uncomfortable." The council members tried to hide their concern. These humans were talking about their own bodies like they were weapons that might go off by accident. "Tell us about your world," said Zexhai, trying to change the subject to something more pleasant. "Your transmission showed many beautiful places." Lisa's face lit up with genuine joy. "Earth is amazing. So much variety. Jake and I both grew up in different regions, so we can give you a full picture." "I'm from Colorado," Jake said. "Mountain. Country. Great hiking when you watch out for the wildlife." Lisa's from Florida, which has completely different challenges. "Challenges?" Morton asked, his crystal form chiming nervously. "Oh, the usual stuff," Lisa said with a laugh. "Hurricanes, flooding, alligators. But you learn to work around them. I actually loved camping in the Everglades as a kid." The council members stared at her. Vexara was the first to speak. "You camped in areas with predators as a child?" "Well, not the really dangerous areas," Lisa said quickly. "My parents weren't crazy. We stayed in zones with only moderate predator activity. Black bears, panthers, the occasional python, normal stuff." Jake nodded. "Same in Colorado. We'd go camping up in the mountains. Had to hang our food high to keep it away from bears and mountain lions. Standard procedure." The humans were talking about living alongside creatures that could kill them like it was a fun family activity. The council members felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's temperature. "What about your weather?" asked Fikro, hoping for a safer topic. "Earth has great weather variety," Jake said enthusiastically. "You get everything from gentle spring days to major storm systems. Really keeps life interesting." "Major storm systems?" Naldor's voice carried a note of worry. "Tornadoes, hurricanes, blizzards, that kind of thing," Lisa explained. "The big storms can be dangerous, but they're also beautiful in their own way. The power of nature is incredible." "How do you survive these storms?" whispered Yilfa. Jake looked confused by the question. "You prepare for them. Build strong shelters. Stock up on supplies, have evacuation plans ready. Most people handle them just fine." "Most people?" Quendal's fur was now completely white with fear. "Well, every year some folks get caught off guard," Lisa said sadly. But that's usually because they didn't prepare properly or ignored the warnings. If you respect the weather and plan ahead, you can handle almost anything. The council members were beginning to understand that humans lived with dangers that would terrify entire planets in their region of space, and these two humans talked about deadly storms and predators like they were minor inconveniences. "Your ship," Morton said carefully. "It looks very sturdy." "The Endeavor? She's a good ship," Jake said with pride. "Built for long-range exploration. Reinforced hull, extra shielding, independent life support systems. She can handle pretty much anything space throws at her." "We needed something reliable," Lisa added. "Space travel is risky, and Earth is a long way from here. If something went wrong, we'd be on our own for months before any rescue could reach us." The humans had traveled between stars in a ship designed to survive disasters that the Council couldn't even imagine. And they talked about being stranded in deep space for months like it was an acceptable risk. Vexara drifted closer to the table. "How many of your kind live on Earth?" "About 8.5 billion right now," Lisa said casually. "Growing every year." Every council member went completely still. 8 billion individuals. Most of their entire species had never produced more than a few million members in their whole history. 8 billion, Naldor repeated slowly. "Yeah, we're pretty crowded," Jake laughed. "But we make it work. Humans are good at adapting to tight spaces and sharing resources." The council members looked at each other with growing alarm. These pleasant, polite humans came from a world so deadly that it had forged 8 billion survivors. And they had just invited 2 of them to dinner. "We should probably head to our quarters and get some rest," Lisa said kindly. "The time difference is going to take some getting used to. Thank you for such a warm welcome." As the humans left the greeting hall, the council members sat in stunned silence. Their new friends had casually revealed that they were products of a world that would kill most council species within days, and Jake and Lisa had no idea how terrifying they sounded. The station tour was supposed to be a peaceful way to show the humans how the council worked together. Zexhi had planned every stop carefully. They would visit the beautiful gardens, the art galleries, and the science labs. Everything was designed to show the harmony between different species. Jake and Lisa walked through the corridors with genuine interest. They asked good questions about the station's design and seemed impressed by the cooperation between so many different kinds of beings. "The hydroponics bay is fascinating," Lisa said as they looked at plants from 12 different worlds growing together. "You've managed to balance completely different soil chemistries and atmospheric needs. That's incredible engineering," Yilfa glowed with pride. Her flower-like head turned toward the human scientist. "It took us 50 years to perfect the balance. Each species contributed their knowledge. On Earth, we're still working on projects like this," Jake added. "Desert farming, underwater agriculture, growing food in extreme climates. It's challenging work." "Extreme climates?" asked Morton, his crystal body chiming softly. "Oh, you know," Lisa said with a wave of her hand. "Places where normal crops won't grow. Arctic regions, deserts, areas with bad soil or too much radiation." The council members exchanged worried looks. The humans were talking about growing food in places that sounded completely uninhabitable. They moved on to the observation deck, where a large transparent wall showed the stars outside. The view was beautiful and peaceful. Ships from different council worlds drifted slowly past the station. "It's so quiet out here," Jake observed. "Very different from the shipping lanes near Earth." "Shipping lanes?" Fikrau pulsed with curiosity. "Yeah, Earth orbit is pretty crowded," Lisa explained. "Cargo ships, passenger vessels, research stations, manufacturing platforms, thousands of ships moving around at any given time." "Thousands?" Vexara's purple gas swirled with shock. "More like tens of thousands if you count all the small craft," Jake said casually. "Earth's got a lot of traffic. Makes navigation interesting." The council members tried to imagine space around their worlds, filled with thousands of ships. Most of their planets had maybe a dozen vessels total. Suddenly, red lights began flashing throughout the station. A calm voice spoke over the communication system. "Attention all residents. We are experiencing a gravity fluctuation in sections 7 through 12. Please move to secure areas immediately. The council members immediately began moving toward the emergency shelters. This was standard procedure. When something went wrong, you went to safety and waited for the technical staff to fix it. But Jake and Lisa didn't follow them. Gravity fluctuation, Jake said, checking a wall display. Looks like the main generator has a problem. I can help. With that, Lisa said, studying the technical readouts. The resonance frequency is off, probably a calibration issue. Before anyone could stop them, both humans headed toward the affected sections instead of away from them. Wait, called Naldor. The technical staff will handle the repairs. You should come to the shelter areas. This might be faster if we help, Jake called back. We've dealt with similar problems before. The council members watched in horror as their guests walked directly into the dangerous area. The gravity was failing. People could be hurt, equipment could fall, and the humans were treating it like a simple repair job. Zexai accessed the internal cameras to watch what the humans were doing. What she saw made her watery form ripple with shock. Jake was moving through the zero-gravity sections like he had been born in space. He pushed off walls and guided himself through the air with perfect control. When he found a council member, floating helplessly in a corridor, Jake grabbed them and carried them to safety with one arm. Lisa had found the gravity generator room and was already working on the machinery. She moved through the complex repair procedures like she had memorized them. Her hands worked quickly and confidently, making adjustments that should have taken trained technicians hours to figure out. "How are they doing that?" whispered Quendal, her fur cycling through colors of amazement and fear. The artificial gravity came back online in less than 10 minutes. Jake emerged from the affected sections carrying 2 council members who had been trapped when the gravity failed. He wasn't even breathing hard. Lisa appeared a few moments later, wiping her hands on a cloth. "That should hold," she said. The primary calibrator was just a little out of alignment, probably from normal wear and tear. The council members stared at their guests. The emergency that would have taken their best technicians hours to solve had been fixed in minutes by the 2 humans. "How did you know how to repair our system?" asked Morton, his crystal body ringing with confusion. "Basic engineering principles are pretty universal," Lisa said with a smile. "Gravity generators work on the same physics everywhere. I've worked on similar systems back home." "And the zero-gravity movement?" Fikrau asked Jake. Jake looked puzzled by the question. "Standard spacer training. Anyone who works in space learns how to move in zero-G. It's a basic safety skill. The humans were talking about advanced technical skills and dangerous emergency procedures like they were things everyone should know." The council members realized they were looking at beings who considered complex engineering and crisis management to be normal life skills. "Your people train for emergencies like this?" Vexara asked carefully. "Of course," Lisa said. "Space is dangerous. Equipment fails, accidents happen, people get hurt. You have to be ready for anything." "Everyone learns emergency response," Jake added. "Basic medical training, equipment repair, crisis management. You can't always wait for specialists to show up." Ylfa's petals curled with worry. "What kind of emergencies do you prepare for on your world?" "The usual stuff," Lisa said thoughtfully. "Natural disasters, equipment failures, medical emergencies, infrastructure problems. Jake probably has more experience with the really serious situations." Jake nodded. "Military training covers a lot of emergency scenarios, hostile environments, equipment loss, personnel injuries, communication failures. You learn to adapt and overcome whatever problems come up." The council members felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's atmosphere. These humans were trained to handle disasters that would destroy entire council civilizations. "Military training?" Naldor asked quietly. "Oh, I was in the military before I became a diplomat," Jake said easily. "Lots of Earth's diplomats have military backgrounds. It's good preparation for dealing with unexpected situations." The council members looked at each other with growing alarm. Their pleasant, diplomatic guest was a trained soldier, someone who had been taught to fight and survive in ways they couldn't imagine. "But that's in the past," Lisa said quickly, noticing their expressions. Jake's been focused on peaceful contact work for years now. Both of us are committed to diplomatic solutions. Of course, Jake agreed. Violence should always be the last resort. There are almost always better ways to solve problems. The humans said this with complete sincerity, but the council members had just watched Jake move through a dangerous emergency like it was routine exercise. They had seen Lisa repair complex machinery like it was a simple puzzle. These were beings who could handle any crisis, fix any problem, and survive any disaster. And they were trying to be diplomatic about it. As they finished the tour and returned to the main areas of the station, the council members walked in stunned silence. Their guests continued to chat pleasantly about the beautiful architecture and impressive technology they had seen. Jake and Lisa had no idea that their casual competence in the face of danger had revealed something terrifying about their species. They thought they were being helpful and friendly. The council members now understood they were hosting beings who could accidentally take over the entire station just by trying to be useful. The emergency council meeting happened after Jake and Lisa had gone to their quarters for the night. The 12 species gathered in their private chamber, the one the humans would never see. Security screens blocked all recording devices. What they were about to discuss could never reach human ears. Naldor's ancient voice filled the quiet room. "We need to talk about what we learned today." Zexhi's watery form rippled with nervous energy. "I have been analyzing everything our guests said and did. The data is disturbing." She activated the main display screen. Charts and numbers appeared in the air above the table. "I researched Earth's population figures. Jake Morrison was correct. 8.7 billion humans currently live on their world." Morton's crystal body dimmed with worry. "My entire species numbers fewer than 50 million across 3 planets. These humans have more people on one world than our entire civilization." "That is not the worst part," Zexhi continued. "I studied their historical records. Earth's population was much smaller just 200 years ago. They have grown this large in a very short time." The numbers on the display changed. Population charts showed explosive growth over just a few centuries. "They reproduce fast and survive well," observed Fikro, his jellyfish form pulsing with anxiety. "This suggests a species adapted to high death rates that can recover quickly." Vexara drifted closer to the display. "What about their physical capabilities? We saw Jake move through zero gravity like he was born in space." Yilfa's petals rustled with unease. "I checked the environmental data from today's emergency. The section where Jake was working had 40% less oxygen than normal. He showed no signs of distress." 40% less? Quendal's fur turned pale white. "That would put most of us into unconsciousness within minutes." "There is more," Zexhi said, changing the display again. "I analyzed their body language and movement patterns. Both humans constantly scan their environment. Their eyes never stop moving. They check exits, obstacles, and potential threats, even during casual conversation." Naldor leaned forward, his tree-like form creaking softly. "Threat assessment. They do it automatically." "It gets worse," Yilfa said quietly. "I ran biological scans when they were not looking. Their muscle density is 3 times higher than it should be for their body size. Their bone structure shows adaptation to much higher gravity than Earth actually has." The council members stared at the biological data floating in the air. The humans looked normal, even weak by some standards, but their bodies were built like living weapons. "How much higher gravity?" asked Morton. "At least 50% more than Earth standard," Yilfa replied. "Maybe more. Their bodies are compressed springs waiting to be released." Fikro pulsed, with disturbing light. "That means Jake was operating under reduced physical stress today. What we saw was him holding back." "I have more information," Vexara said, her purple gas swirling nervously. "I accessed their ship's computer during the emergency. With permission, of course. I was trying to help with technical specifications." She paused, as if afraid to continue. "What did you find?" Naldor asked gently. "The Endeavor is not an exploration ship. It is a military vessel converted for diplomatic use. The weapon systems have been removed, but the armor, Shielding and defensive systems are still active. The council chamber fell completely silent. Military vessel, Morten repeated slowly. The conversion was recent, Vexera continued. Within the last year, they took a warship and made it look peaceful just to visit us. Quendal's fur cycled through colors of fear and confusion. Why would they need a warship for a diplomatic mission? Because to them, traveling through space requires military-grade protection, Zexhai answered. They cannot imagine going anywhere without being prepared for combat. Ylfa brought up new data on the display. I also found their emergency supply manifests. The Endeavour carries enough food, water, and medical supplies to keep its crew alive for 2 years in deep space. 2 years, whispered Fikro. They plan for disasters that could strand them for years. There is something else, Naldor said, heavily. I have been thinking about Lisa's casual mention of camping with predators as a child. I researched Earth's wildlife. The display changed to show images from Earth. The council members gasped and recoiled. Massive creatures with huge teeth and claws filled the screen. Bears that could crush trees. Cats that could leap incredible distances. Snakes longer than most council members were tall. These animals live on the same world as the humans, Naldor continued. And humans do not just survive alongside them. They have made many of these creatures into companions. Companions? Quendal's voice was barely a whisper. Dogs, Naldor explained. Humans took wolves, the most efficient pack hunters on their world, and turned them into beloved family members. They sleep with these predators. They let their children play with them. The images changed to show humans interacting with various Earth animals. People riding on the backs of massive creatures. Children playing with smaller versions of deadly predators. Humans swimming with creatures that had rows of sharp teeth. They do not fear their world's predators, Morten observed, his crystal form barely glowing. They have dominated them completely. Zexhai rippled with deep unease. I found records of human entertainment. Stories, movies, games. Do you know what humans do for fun? She did not wait for an answer. They create fictional scenarios where they face impossible dangers and survive through skill and determination. Their entertainment is based on overcoming threats that would destroy entire civilizations. Their art glorifies conflict, Vexara added, not because they are violent, but because they find beauty in overcoming challenges. Fikiro pulsed with worried light. What kind of species finds deadly challenges beautiful? A species that has never met a challenge it could not overcome, Naldor answered grimly. Ylfa brought up the final piece of data. I have been analyzing their casual conversation from today. Jake mentioned that Earth's military trains people for hostile environments, equipment loss, personnel injuries, and communication failures. Standard military training, Quendal said, her fur now completely colorless with fear. But think about what that means, Ylfa continued. Humans routinely train their soldiers to survive and fight in conditions that would kill us instantly. And Jake called this basic preparation. The council members looked around the table at each other. Each face showed the same expression of dawning horror. We have invited apex predators to our peaceful alliance, Morten said finally. Beings who think our worst possible disasters are minor inconveniences. They do not even realize how dangerous they are, Zexhai added. Jake and Lisa believe they are being diplomatic and careful. This is them trying to be gentle. Vexara drifted slowly around the table. What happens when they go back to Earth and tell their people about us? What happens when 8 billion of these creatures learn about our worlds? They will want to help us, Naldor said quietly. They will offer to share their technology, their knowledge, their resources. They will try to be our friends. And, in helping us, they will accidentally destroy everything we have built, Fikro concluded. The council chamber fell into grim silence. Outside, the stars continued their peaceful dance around the station. Inside, 12 species faced the reality that their safe, harmonious universe was about to change forever. They had welcomed humanity with open arms, believing they were greeting fellow peace seekers. Instead, they had invited forces of nature, disguised as diplomats, and the humans still had no idea what they were. The final council meeting happened on the last day of the human visit. Jake and Lisa sat at the great table, smiling and eager to discuss the future. They had no idea that every council member had spent the previous 3 days in emergency planning sessions. "This has been an amazing week," Lisa said warmly. "Learning about all your different worlds and cultures has been incredible. Earth is going to be so excited about joining the council." Jake nodded enthusiastically. "We've already started planning cultural exchange programs. Earth has thousands of universities that would love to host students from your worlds. And we have so many volunteers eager to visit your planets and help with whatever projects you need." The council members exchanged quick glances. Thousands of universities, volunteers eager to help. Each innocent comment revealed the massive scale of human civilization. "That sounds wonderful," Naldor said carefully. "But perhaps we should start with smaller exchanges. Maybe just a few individuals at first." "Oh, absolutely," Jake agreed. "We don't want to overwhelm anyone. Maybe start with just 100 or so exchange students each way. Very manageable numbers. 100 humans on each council world." The members tried not to show their panic. Even a dozen humans could accidentally take over entire planets just by trying to be helpful. Lisa pulled out a small device and activated a holographic display. "We've put together some preliminary plans for cooperation projects. Earth's Agricultural Science Division thinks they can help improve crop yields on several of your worlds." The display showed complex farming techniques, genetic modification programs, and terraforming technologies. To Lisa, these were simple improvements. To the council, they looked like ways to completely reshape entire ecosystems. For example, Lisa continued, "Quendal's homeworld has some areas with low soil fertility. Earth's biotechnology could probably boost production by 300 or 400%. Quendal's fur went white with terror. A 400% increase in anything on her peaceful world would cause complete social collapse. And Jake has some great ideas for infrastructure development," Lisa added proudly. Jake activated his own display. "Earth's engineering core has experience building in extreme environments. We could help construct deep space stations, planetary defense networks, improved communication systems, really robust stuff that could handle any emergency." Planetary defense networks. The humans wanted to build military installations on their worlds and thought they were offering gifts. "These are very generous offers," Zexhai said, her watery form rippling with barely controlled fear. "But we should probably take time to study them carefully." "Of course," Jake said. "No rush at all. We know big changes take time." Earth waited, centuries before making contact with anyone. We can be patient. Centuries. The humans had been capable of interstellar travel for centuries and had chosen to wait. The council members realized they were dealing with a species that thought in terms of geological timescales. Morton's crystal body chimed softly. "What about trade agreements? What would Earth want in exchange for all this assistance?" Jake and Lisa looked at each other and smiled. "Honestly, just the chance to learn from you," Lisa said. "Earth has always been interested in peaceful cooperation with other species. The cultural exchange alone would be incredibly valuable. Plus, we'd love to help with scientific research," Jake added. "Earth has a lot of experience with hostile environment research, survival technology, and emergency response systems. We could share all of that freely." They wanted to give away technologies that could transform entire civilizations. They were offering gifts that would make the council members completely dependent on human knowledge. "We should probably discuss the formal membership process," Naldor said, trying to steer the conversation toward safer ground. "Right," Jake said, pulling up another display. "Earth's government is really excited about this. We've already got preliminary approval for full membership. Once you give us the go-ahead, we can have official representatives here within 6 months." "Official representatives?" Fikrau asked nervously. "A full diplomatic mission," Lisa explained. "Probably about 50 people initially. Scientists, engineers, cultural specialists, security personnel, everything needed for a permanent embassy. 50 humans permanently stationed at Harmony's Rest." The council members felt like they were planning their own conquest. "Security personnel?" Vexara asked quietly. Oh, just standard diplomatic protection, Jake said casually. Earth takes the safety of its ambassadors seriously. The security team would be mostly for emergency response and helping with any technical problems that come up. Human soldiers disguised as diplomatic security. Trained killers who thought they were peacekeepers. Ylfa's petals curled with worry. What kind of emergencies do you prepare for? The usual stuff, Lisa said with a shrug. Equipment failures, medical crises, natural disasters, hostile encounters. You can never be too prepared when you're far from home. Hostile encounters. The humans were planning for wars that the Council couldn't even imagine. We should also talk about mutual defense agreements, Jake continued. If any of your worlds ever face serious threats, Earth would be happy to provide assistance. The Council members tried not to think about what human assistance might look like. Probably fleets of warships and armies of super soldiers, all sent with the best intentions. These are all excellent ideas, Naldor said diplomatically, but the Council moves slowly on big decisions. We'll need time to discuss everything properly. Of course, Jake said warmly. Take all the time you need. Earth has waited this long to join a galactic community. We can wait a little longer to do it right. Lisa stood up and smiled at each Council member. Thank you all for making us feel so welcome. This has been one of the most important weeks in human history. For us as well, Naldor replied, which was completely true in ways the humans couldn't understand. As Jake and Lisa gathered their materials and prepared to leave, they talked excitedly about their return to Earth. The United Nations is going to be so pleased, Jake said. Full diplomatic contact with 12 different species. This is beyond our wildest dreams. I can't wait to share the cultural data we've collected, Lisa added. Earth's xenobiology departments are going to be working on this for decades. They shook hands with each Council member, using the human gesture they had taught them on the first day. Each handshake was gentle and friendly, but the Council members could feel the strength in those deceptively normal hands. Safe travels, Sexhai said and meant it desperately. We'll be in touch soon, Jake promised. Earth is already preparing our formal application for membership. After the humans left for their ship, the Council members sat in stunned silence. Through the viewing wall, they watched the Endeavour power up its engines and disappear into hyperspace, carrying Jake and Lisa back to their impossible world. So, Morton said finally, what do we do now? Naldor's ancient voice carried the weight of terrible responsibility. We vote on their membership application, and we prepare for the consequences. All in favor of accepting humanity into the Galactic Council? Zexhai asked formally. One by one, each member voted yes. They had no choice. Refusing would make enemies of 8 billion apex predators. Accepting would make them allies, which was only slightly less terrifying. Motion carries, Naldor announced. Humanity is hereby accepted as the 13th member of the Galactic Council, and may whatever gods watch over us have mercy on our souls, Quendal whispered. Outside, the stars continued their eternal dance, unaware that the balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted forever. Somewhere in the depths of space, Jake and Lisa were heading home to share the good news with their species. 8 billion humans were about to learn that they had friends among the stars, friends who needed their help. Friends who would welcome their assistance with grateful terror. The age of human expansion was about to begin, wrapped in the innocent desire to lend a helping hand to their new neighbors. And the galaxy would never be the same.